Hi, Austin. How are you doing?
Hey, Dr. Huber, I'm great, thanks.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, great to see you too.
So, what I thought we could do here, this is something I think that you wanted to know a little more about, and lots of our patients want to know a little bit about this, which is about hairline design. So, we have a video of our hairline design. I thought I'd walk you through it, explain what we're doing so you have a better understanding of how we did that. Would that be all right?
Yeah, I haven't seen this in a long time, so it's going to be something to look back at this video.
Okay, here goes. We'll get the video started. I'll talk through it. If you have any questions at the end, you let me know, okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, so here we are. We're in the operating room now, and you can see what I'm doing is I'm marking some anatomical landmarks. Marking these anatomical landmarks is important because we want to make sure that your hairline looks natural relative to your existing features like your eyes, your forehead, etc. So we're taking into account where your eyes are, making some markings here. That's going to mark the corner of the hairline. Something else that we look for is where your muscles of your forehead are. So that's why I've asked you to raise your eyebrows
Hmm.
there. We want to make sure that your hairline is not too close to the muscles of your forehead, because if we bring that hairline down too far, every time you move your forehead, your hairline is going to move. So we want to leave some adequate distance, usually about a finger breadth or two, and we're making those marks there now. Just double checking, making sure is everything in the right position, and then moving over to the other corner to mark the other side of the hairline. Once we have those kind of landmarks established, then we can start drawing the hairline. And the first thing you'll notice is that we're not drawing a straight line. And sometimes people are really surprised about that. Often, when you go to other websites or other videos, you see all these straight lines, but nobody's hairline is perfectly straight. We like to think of these hairlines more as like a coastline. So if you looked at a coastline from space, often it feels or seems very smooth, but as you get closer, you see these zigs and zags and ins and outs. And that's what a normal hairline is like. So we want to reproduce that kind of irregularity in your hairline rather than being super symmetrical and super straight. So that's the reason we have that kind of squiggly line that you see there. And of course, we're checking and double checking. I've given you a mirror here, and I'm explaining to you what I've done on the day of your surgery, showing you why I've chosen to place the hairline in there, why we've maintained these angles, etc. And just getting your approval and your feedback through that process. Once that part's done, I make some markings for myself to delineate the areas of the surgery, to delineate other areas and other landmarks that I need to know. And of course, we went to the back of your crown as well. I marked that area because we put a few grafts in there as well. So I've really marked here the most empty areas, and that's what you're seeing in this part of the video here. Once again, taking a look, showing you the expectations of where we're going to, do our surgery, how we're going to allot these grafts, what our mutual thinking was about our surgical planning, and that's what you see in this part of the video here. Of course, we've now shaved your head down to about a 0 guard because we're going to turn our attention to the donor area. And what we're doing here is marking that donor area. So we're finding the safe areas from which we can harvest. And by safe areas, we mean your permanent hair that you're never going to lose. And that's the hair that we want to leverage and the characteristics of the follicles that we want to leverage when we move it to the areas of your hair where you need hair. So we're marking, of course, the back. We want to take into account future hair loss there. And we're marking the sides as well. We want to make sure that just in case we take into account future recession of the hairline along the sides. So we're making all those marks along the back. And it's in that area where we're going to diffusely harvest all of your grafts for your surgery. I'm just making some final markings now. Double check, always double checking and rechecking everything. Taking some photos here for our records and from your records as well, so that we can always come back and compare the work that we've done. And in the event that you have future surgery, of course, we want to mark the areas where we've done previous surgery, marking and photographing the donor area as well, so we can take a look in the future in terms of how the cosmetic appearance changes following your surgery. Again, just showing everything to you so you can see where you've started. And that's about it. That's the whole process in terms of designing that hairline and making all those markings and planning for your surgery.
Well, it seems like you did a fantastic job designing my hairline as the results, 6 months later show. But yeah, that was fascinating.
Yeah, and I think, obviously you're in the early phase of your regrowth, but already it looks very natural. Like nobody, I think, and maybe you'll tell me, but nobody would look at you right now and say, you've had a hair transplant. It just looks like a natural hairline. And it's going to continue to thicken up, of course, but it's going to continue to look very natural. And that's the point. The whole point of having a hair transplant is so that it looks like you never had a hair transplant. And I think we've achieved that in you with your hairline design.
Yeah, well, it looks great, and sometimes I go back and I look at pictures of myself from maybe 15 years ago, just to kind of compare, and I'm just really happy with the work. So thanks very much, Dr. Huber.
Yeah, I think even people who are just watching this video, maybe who've not seen our previous videos,
Mm.
can see the improvement in your hair over just 6 months relative to what we saw in that video. So I'm pretty happy with what we've seen here. It's only going to get better from here, and I'm looking forward to seeing more in another 6 months.
Thanks so much, Dr. Huber.
My pleasure. It's always good to see you, and looking forward to seeing you again in another 6 months.